The patrol ship Stellar Harmony moved slowly through the empty space at the edge of Zone 7749, Commander. Velthak sat in his captain's chair, his 4 purple eyes scanning the control panels. This was supposed to be a routine patrol, just checking the boundary markers of the Forbidden Zone, like they did every few months. Zone-7749 had been sealed off for 800 years. Everyone in the galaxy knew the stories. It was a nightmare region filled with dying stars that shot deadly radiation in all directions. Gravity fields so strong they could crush a battleship into the size of a marble. Space storms that could tear apart molecules themselves. 3 different exploration fleets had gone in over the centuries. None ever came back. The Galactic Council had put up warning beacons around the entire zone. Big red signs in 47 different languages, all saying the same thing: Forbidden Zone. Entry prohibited, lethal conditions beyond this point. Vil yawned. Patrol duty was boring. Nothing ever happened out here. Who would be stupid enough to go into Zone 7749? Sir, called out his sensor officer, a young Altarian named Zixco. I'm getting some weird readings. Weird how? Velthak asked, not really paying attention. There are energy signatures coming from inside the zone that got the commander's attention. He sat up straight. Run the scan again. Your equipment might be broken. Zixco worked at his console for several minutes. Sir, the readings are getting stronger. There are definitely artificial energy sources inside Zone 7749. Multiple sources. Big ones. Velthak felt a chill run down his spine. That's impossible. Nothing can live in there. I'm also picking up electromagnetic patterns that look like communication signals. Communication signals? Velthak stood up and walked over to the sensor station. Show me. The main screen displayed a map of Zone 7749. It looked like a swirling mess of red and orange danger zones, but scattered throughout the chaos were dozens of bright blue dots. Each of those dots represents a major energy source. Zixco explained. The power output is enormous, bigger than most planetary capitals. Could they be natural phenomena? Maybe some kind of stellar activity we haven't seen before. Zixco shook his head. No, sir. The patterns are too organized, too regular. These are definitely artificial constructions. Velthak stared at the screen. His mind tried to process what he was seeing, but it didn't make sense. Cities? Are you telling me there are cities inside the Forbidden Zone? That's what the data suggests, sir. But that's impossible. The radiation levels alone would kill any known species in minutes, and the gravity fields. Velthak trailed off. The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this information. Everyone knew the stories about Zone 7749. It was the most dangerous place in the galaxy. Even the Council's most advanced ships couldn't survive more than a few hours inside its boundaries. Sir? The communications officer spoke up nervously. I'm receiving a transmission. From where? From inside the zone. Velthak's blood went cold. Put it through. Static filled the bridge, mixed with strange harmonics and background radiation. Then, through the chaos, came a clear voice speaking. Perfect. Galactic Standard. Council vessel, at grid reference 7749 Alpha 7. This is monitoring station New Busan. We have detected your presence at our boundary. Please state your intentions. The entire bridge crew stared at the speakers in shock. Someone was actually living inside Zone 7749. Not just surviving, they had monitoring stations. They were tracking the Council patrol ship. Velthak fumbled for the communications controls. This is Commander Velthak, of the Altarian Fleet, Galactic Council Patrol Division. Who is this? How are you surviving in there? A pause. Then what? Sounded almost like laughter. Commander, we've been living here for quite some time. As for how, ... double quotes, another pause. Let's just say we've learned to adapt. What species are you? I need to report this to the Council immediately. We're human, Commander. Velthak felt dizzy. Human, but humans are extinct. The council records showed that Earth was destroyed 8 centuries ago during a pest control operation. The reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated, Commander. The voice cut out, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Zixko was frantically checking his historical databases. Sir, I found some old records. There was indeed a species called humans. They came from a planet called Earth in the Sol system. Council forces destroyed their homeworld about 800 years ago. They were classified as a minor pest species that was expanding too rapidly. But some escaped, Velthak whispered. Apparently so. And somehow they ended up in Zone 7749. Velthak looked at the swirling chaos on the screen, trying to imagine how any species could not just survive in there, but actually build cities. The energy readings suggested technology more advanced than anything in Council space. Send an immediate priority message to Council headquarters, he ordered. Tell them we've found something that changes everything. Tell them the humans are not extinct. And tell them, he paused, staring at the impossible readings on his screens. Tell them we may have seriously underestimated what we're dealing with. Deep inside Zone 7749, the message was received and understood. After 8 centuries of hiding, humanity had finally been discovered. Jinwoo Park stood in the observation deck of New Seoul Station, watching a radiation storm dance across the surface of a nearby neutron star. The deadly light show would have killed any other species instantly, but to him it was just another beautiful sunset in humanity's new home. Tell me the old stories again, grandfather, said 12-year-old Soyoung, tugging at his uniform sleeve. She had been born here in the zone, like all the children of her generation. To her, swimming through deadly radiation and playing in crushing gravity fields was perfectly normal. Jinwoo smiled and sat down beside her on the observation deck floor. Through the transparent walls, they could see human workers in light environmental suits performing maintenance on the station's outer hull. The suits barely glowed. Humans no longer needed heavy protection against radiation that would cook other species in seconds. 800 years ago, Jinwoo began, our ancestors lived on a beautiful blue and green planet called Earth. It had clean air, flowing water, and gentle yellow sunlight. Humans lived simple lives there, just learning to travel between the stars. Soyoung wrinkled her nose. It sounds boring, grandfather. No gravity storms or starfire to play in. Jinwoo chuckled. It was peaceful. But then the Galactic Council found us. They had been watching Earth for years, studying our species like we were insects. We were expanding too fast for their liking. Our colony ships were reaching new systems every year. The Council decided we were a pest problem that needed to be eliminated. But why didn't they just talk to us? Because they didn't think we were worth talking to, little star dancer. To them, we were just primitive creatures, getting in the way of their trade routes. Jinwoo's expression grew darker as he continued the story. The Council fleet arrived. Without warning, they didn't even try to communicate. They just started destroying everything. Our cities burned. Our oceans boiled away. Billions of people died in a single day. Soyoung had heard this part before, but she still listened with wide eyes. It was hard for her to imagine humans as helpless victims when everyone she knew could walk through cosmic fire without fear. But some escaped, she whispered, knowing what came next. Just barely. A few thousand survivors across maybe 20 colony ships. We were scattered across the galaxy, hunted like animals. Every time the Council found a group of human refugees, they would destroy them completely. They wanted to make sure not a single human remained alive. How did we end up here? Jinwoo gestured toward the swirling chaos visible outside their station. Your great-great-grandmother was captain of the colony ship Hope's Dream. The Council had found her ship and was chasing it through space. She was running out of fuel and options when she spotted Zone 7749 on her star charts. The Forbidden Zone. Yes, even then, it was marked as absolutely lethal. No species had ever survived inside its boundaries. The radiation, the gravity storms, the cosmic anomalies. It was considered the most dangerous place in the galaxy. So Young looked confused. But it's not dangerous. It's home, to us, now. But back then, your great-great-grandmother faced an impossible choice. Be captured and killed by the Council, or fly into certain death in the zone. She chose the zone. Jinwoo stood up and walked to the wall display, bringing up historical images of the early human settlements. Tiny, desperate outposts, clinging to asteroids and dying stars. The first years were terrible. Most of the survivors died quickly. The radiation was cooking their bodies. The gravity fields crushed their bones. The cosmic storms tore their ships apart. But a few humans, maybe 200 out of thousands, somehow survived long enough for their bodies to start changing. Changing how? The zone was changing us at the genetic level. Each generation could tolerate a little more radiation, could handle stronger gravity, could see deeper into the electromagnetic spectrum. After a few centuries, we weren't quite the same species that had lived on Earth. So-young held up her hand, watching the faint luminescence that all humans displayed. Is that why we glow? That's your body processing cosmic radiation and turning it into usable energy. No other species can do that. A chime sounded through the station, and Captain Hyjin Kim's voice came over the communication system. All department heads to the command center. We've got council ships at the boundary again, and this time they look serious. Jinwoo sighed. It looks like our hiding days might be coming to an end. So-young bounced excitedly. Are we finally going to meet other species? I want to see what they look like. They might not be friendly, little one. Remember, these are the people who tried to kill all of us. But that was long ago, and we're not the same humans they remember, are we? Jinwoo looked at his granddaughter, a child, who could survive in conditions that would instantly kill the galaxy's most advanced species, who played in radiation storms and swam through gravity fields. She was right. They weren't the same humans. At all? No, he said quietly. We're something completely new. And I think the Council is about to get the surprise of their lives. Outside, more human ships moved through the deadly zone like dolphins through ocean waves. Their crews adapted to an environment that made the impossible possible. The Council exploration ship Unities. Pride moved carefully through the outer edges of Zone 7749. Every alarm on the bridge was screaming warnings about radiation levels and gravitational anomalies. Ambassador Kachjai, a tall crystalline being from the Zephyrian Collective, watched nervously as his ship's shields flickered under the cosmic assault. Sir, we're approaching critical system failure, reported the pilot, a six-armed creature, whose species had survived in deep space for millions of years. Even he looked terrified. The radiation is cooking our hull. The gravity fields are starting to twist our superstructure. How much farther to the human settlements? Kexai asked. According to our sensors, we're still 3 hours away from the nearest installation. Kexai felt his crystalline body dim with worry. If his advanced ship was barely surviving the zone's outer edges, how could any species actually live deep inside this cosmic nightmare? Suddenly, their communications crackled to life. The voice that came through was calm and friendly, as if the speaker was sitting in a peaceful garden instead of the galaxy's most dangerous region. Council Vessel Unity's Pride. This is Traffic Control Station Jeju. We've been monitoring your approach. Your current heading will take you directly into a gravity storm that will crush your ship in about 20 minutes. The pilot frantically checked his navigation. He's right, sir. There's a massive gravitational anomaly directly ahead. Our sensors didn't detect it through all this interference. Please adjust your course to heading 27 Mark 4 and follow our guide beacon, the voice continued. We'll bring you safely to Deep Space Platform Inch. A new signal appeared on their navigation system, a steady, pulse cutting clearly through the electromagnetic chaos around them. "This is Ambassador Kexai of the Galactic Council," he transmitted back. "May I ask who I'm speaking with?" "This is Station Controller Minho Lee. Welcome to Zone 7749, Ambassador. I understand this is the Council's first official visit to our territory." "Your territory." Kexai was surprised by the casual confidence in the human's voice. "I was under the impression that Zone 7749 was uninhabitable." A sound that might have been laughter came through the speakers. "Uninhabitable for most species, yes. But we've learned to make it work for us." As they followed the guide beacon deeper into the zone, the Council crew watched their instruments in amazement. Human ships passed them regularly, sleek vessels that moved through radiation storms without any visible shielding. Workers in simple environmental suits performed construction on massive structures that existed in gravitational fields strong enough to compress diamond into powder. "Impossible," whispered the ship's science officer. "Those humans are working in conditions that should liquefy their bodies instantly. And look at their ships," added the pilot. "They're not even trying to avoid the radiation storms. They're flying straight through them." Ambassador Kexai studied the readings on his screen. The human vessels showed energy signatures unlike anything in Council space. They weren't fighting the zone's deadly conditions. They were somehow using them. "Ambassador," came Min's voice again, "we're going to transfer you to Captain Junho Yoon for the final approach to Platform Incheon. He'll handle your docking procedures." The guide beacon changed frequency, and a new voice took over. "Council vessel, this is Captain Junho. I'll be your host during your visit. Fair warning, you might find some of our procedures a bit different from standard Council protocol." "Different how?" Kexai asked. "Well, for starters, our docking bay doesn't have an atmosphere. The radiation levels would kill most species, so we don't bother with life support in the outer sections. Don't worry though, we've prepared a special receiving area for you." The massive human platform came into view through their forward windows. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, a sprawling complex of interconnected structures that seemed to grow organically around and through gravitational anomalies. Parts of the station existed in folded space, while other sections phased in and out of normal reality. "By the void," breathed Kexai. "How is that even possible?" "The platform is anchored to 17 different gravitational fields simultaneously," Captain Junho explained casually. "We use the zone's natural instabilities to power our systems and create pocket dimensions for extra space. Much more efficient than traditional construction methods." The docking procedure was unlike anything the Council crew had ever experienced. Human traffic controllers guided them through a maze of twisted space-time, using gravitational currents like a river to carry their ship safely to port. When they finally docked, Ambassador Kexai and his team put on their heaviest environmental suits before leaving their ship. The radiation readings in the docking bay would have killed them in seconds without protection. The airlocks cycled, and Captain Junho Yoon stepped through to greet them. He wasn't wearing any environmental protection at all. The human captain looked perfectly normal, except for a slight luminescent glow to his skin and eyes that seemed to contain depths of starlight. He smiled warmly and extended his hand in the ancient human greeting gesture. "Welcome to humanity's true home, Ambassador. We've been looking forward to meeting our galactic neighbors again." Kexai stared through his helmet's faceplate at this impossible being, a human who stood casually in radiation that would cook most species instantly. Behind Captain Junho, other humans moved through the docking bay without any protection, working and talking as if they were in a peaceful park. "How?" was all the ambassador could manage to say. Captain Junho's smile widened, and starlight flickered behind his eyes. 8 centuries of adaptation, Ambassador. We're not quite the same species you remember." The Great Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 47 different species filled the massive hall, all talking at once in dozens of languages. Holographic displays showed impossible images from Zone 7749. Human cities floating in radiation storms. Children playing in gravity fields that could crush starships. High Counselor Murthan, a tall aquatic being with silver scales, called for order by striking his ceremonial staff against the floor. The sound echoed through the chamber until the noise gradually died down. "We are here to discuss the human situation," Murthan announced. His voice carried clearly through the translation systems. "Ambassador Cax. Jai. Please give your report." The crystalline ambassador stood up, his body still dim from exhaustion after his journey into Zone 7749. "Honored counselors, what I witnessed challenges everything we thought we knew about biological limitations." He activated the central display, showing video footage of his visit to the human platform. The council members watched in stunned silence as humans walked casually through lethal radiation, their children swimming through gravitational anomalies like they were playing in water. "These beings are no longer the primitive species we classified 8 centuries ago," Kexai continued. "They have technology that makes our most advanced systems look simple. They've turned the galaxy's most dangerous region into their home." Counselor Vexenar, a reptilian species known for their military strength, slammed his clawed hand on his desk. "This is a threat to Council security. We have beings living in our space who possess unknown capabilities." "They're not living in our space," corrected Murthan. "Zone 7749 has been forbidden territory for centuries. No Council species claims it, because it's impossible to survive there," Vexenar hissed. "But now we find an entire civilization thriving in conditions that would kill us all. What if they decide to expand beyond the zone?" Murmurs of fear rippled through the chamber. Many representatives were thinking the same thing. Beings who could survive in Zone 7749 would be impossible to fight or contain. "There's something else," Kexai said quietly. "I accessed our historical records. The destruction of Earth 8 centuries ago. It was ordered by this very council." The chamber fell completely silent. "The humans were expanding too rapidly," Kexai continued. "They were establishing colonies and systems that interfered with established trade routes. The council classified them as a pest species and authorized their complete elimination." "That was a different time," Murthan said carefully. "Different. Leaders made those decisions. The survivors remember. Counselor, every human I spoke with knew their history. They know we tried to commit genocide against their entire species." Counselor Dexera, an insectoid being with compound eyes, clicked nervously. "What do they want from us? Revenge? Territory? Resources?" Before anyone could answer, the chamber's main communication system activated. A holographic figure materialized. In the center of the room, a human woman with the characteristic glow that all zone dwellers displayed. "Honored counselors," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the translation systems struggle. "I am Dr. Sujin Park, speaking for the human colonies of Zone 7749. Several representatives reached for their weapons before remembering they were in a diplomatic setting. The humans' casual appearance in their most secure facility was deeply unsettling. "How did you access our communication systems?" demanded Vexenar. "We've been monitoring Council communications for decades," Dr. Park replied calmly. "We needed to understand the galactic political situation. We know about your trade agreements, your territorial disputes, your military capabilities. Are you threatening us?" Vexenar rose from his seat, his scales darkening with anger. "Not at all, Counselor. We're simply explaining that we've been watching, waiting, learning." Dr. Park's image flickered slightly, as if she existed partially outside normal space. "We know you're debating what to do about us. We thought we should participate in that discussion." Murthan leaned forward. "What do your people want, Dr. Park?" "Nothing from you," she answered. "We don't want council membership. We don't want your territory or your resources. We've built our own civilization in a place where no other species can follow. Then why reveal yourselves now? Asked Dexera. Dr. Park was quiet for a moment, her luminescent eyes seeming to look through dimensions the council members couldn't perceive. Because change is coming to the galaxy. We can sense it in the deep structures of space-time. Ancient. Things are stirring. The stable period you've enjoyed for millennia is ending. What kind of change? The kind that requires beings who can survive in impossible conditions. Who can go places where normal matter cannot exist. Who can speak to forces that operate beyond physical reality. The council members exchanged worried glances. Several species had their own legends about ancient cosmic dangers. Sleeping powers that existed before their civilizations arose. You're saying you'll help us? Murthan asked. We're saying we'll do what we've always done, survive where others cannot protect what needs protecting. Make the impossible into possible. Dr. Park's image began to fade. The galaxy is bigger than council space, honored representatives. Not all of it can be governed by those who need safe conditions to live. Her image disappeared, leaving the council in uncomfortable silence. Well, Murthan said finally, it appears we're no longer the galaxy's dominant power. No, agreed Kexai quietly. But perhaps we never really were. The emergency alarm that screamed across the galaxy was unlike anything anyone had ever heard. It came from the galactic core itself, a deep, rumbling signal that made every sensor array in council space shriek warnings about impossible energy. Readings. High Counselor Murthan stood in the emergency command center on Nexus Prime, watching displays that showed something unthinkable happening. Stars near the galactic center were simply disappearing, not exploding or burning out, just vanishing as if they had never existed. What are we looking at? He asked Dr. Kelvac, the council's chief science officer. The elderly scientist's tentacles trembled as he worked his instruments. Something ancient has awakened in the core region. We're calling it the Devourer. It exists in states of matter that we can't even measure properly. Wherever it moves, normal space-time breaks down. How fast is it moving? At current speed, it will reach the outer systems in 6 months. When it does, Dr. Kelvax paused. Counselor, this entity doesn't just destroy matter. It converts everything it touches into exotic energy states. Entire civilizations are being transformed into something that exists outside our reality. Murthan felt cold, fears settle in his stomach. Can we fight it? Fight it, sir? We can't even get close to it. The energy fields around this thing would dissolve our ships before they got within a light year. Our weapons are useless against something that exists partially outside normal physics. Reports flooded in from across council space. Every species' greatest minds reached the same conclusion. The Devourer operated in conditions similar to Zone 7749, but millions of times more intense. No council technology could function in its presence. Then the transmission came from the Forbidden Zone. Council Command, this is Admiral Yujin Kong of the Zone Defense Fleet. We're aware of your situation. The woman who appeared on their screens was clearly human, but transformed by centuries of adaptation. Her skin held patterns of light that shifted like living constellations, and her eyes seemed to contain the depths of space itself. Admiral Murthan said desperately, we're facing the end of galactic civilization. This entity operates in conditions that kill everything we send against it. We know. We've been monitoring the situation since it began stirring 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. Dr. Kelvax looked shocked. Our best sensors only detected it 2 days ago. Your sensors can't see into the deep structure zones where it was waking up, Admiral Yujin explained. We've had ships in the core region for decades, studying the ancient machinery there. Studying what machinery? The devices left by whoever built the galactic spiral arms. The Devourer isn't a natural creature, Counselor. It's a maintenance system that's been dormant for millions of years. Something triggered it to activate. Through the command center's windows, Murthan could see human ships emerging from Zone 7749. Dozens of vessels that moved through normal space like sharks through water, their hulls gleaming with energies that bent light around them. "What are you planning to do?" he asked. "What we were made for," Admiral Yuzhin replied. "The zone changed us for a reason. 8 centuries of adaptation weren't random, they were preparation. We're the only species that can survive in the influence field." The human fleet moved toward the galactic core with impossible speed. Council observers watched in amazement as the ships dove directly into energy storms that would have vaporized entire battle groups. Captain Mingu Chen led the first contact team, his vessel existing simultaneously in 7 dimensions to navigate the reality distortions around the entity. Council command: "We're approaching the Devourer now. It's magnificent." "What do you see?" Murthan asked. "A confused giant. It went to sleep when the galaxy was mostly empty space and simple gases. Now it's woken up to find billions of civilizations everywhere. It doesn't understand that the matter it's designed to process is now alive and thinking." What followed wasn't a battle. The humans didn't fight the cosmic entity, they spoke to it. Using languages made of pure energy and gravitational waves, they communicated with a being whose thoughts operated on galactic scales. "We're explaining the current situation," reported Captain Mingu. "The Devourer understands now that the galaxy has changed. It's looking for a place where it can exist without harming inhabited systems." Working together, the humans guided the ancient entity toward the empty regions between galactic arms. The Devourer settled into a vast nebula, where its exotic emanations actually began creating new forms of matter and energy that would enrich the surrounding star systems. Within a week, the crisis was over. The galaxy was safe. In the aftermath, Murthan met with Admiral Yuzhin on a neutral space station at the edge of Zone 7749. She looked tired, but satisfied, her luminous patterns flickering slowly like a contented cat. "Why did you save us?" he asked. "After what the Council did to your species, you could have let us face extinction." Admiral Yuzhin smiled, and starlight danced behind her eyes. "Because that's what Guardians do, Counselor. We protect life, even when life doesn't always deserve it. Guardians. The galaxy has extreme frontiers that need extreme protectors. Council space is safe and stable, perfect for most species. But the dangerous regions, the impossible places, the zones where reality itself breaks down, those need different kinds of beings." Murthan looked out at Zone 7749, where human children played among neutron stars and their parents worked with forces that existed beyond normal physics. "So this is the new arrangement?" he asked. "The Council governs the safe zones. We watch over the dangerous ones. Everyone gets to live in the environment that suits them best." And so the galaxy found its new balance, with humanity serving as bridges between the possible and impossible, thriving in places where others feared to go.